Welcome back to another JERiCK podcast episode. My name is JERiCK.
I'm Chris Mark.
And today we have another guest.
Hi.
Tyrone.
I'm Ty. You can call me
Ty.
Yeah. Hi, guys.
Hey.
Yeah. Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Because I know we had some conversations on Facebook. I know you wanted to start your own, like YouTube channel. And I wanted to...
Oh yeah, I'm here to observe, and but generally, we were talking about the Facebook group that I created about the Philippines, just asking the Filipino people to start discussions on the Philippines becoming a U.S. territory. But yeah,
Well, we'll dive deep into that later.
Definitely.
Yeah, welcome to the podcast, dude.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm glad Chris Mark is here.
Well, hello.
Yeah, I'm glad Chris Mark's here too.
Yeah, me too.
I'm glad you're here too.
Yeah, because I've known you for a while, since early college days.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I haven't seen you in a very long time.
Yeah, like we were talking about earlier, I think the last time we saw each other was at Z Bar during the June Babies celebration.
Probably, and that's probably like many, many years ago too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good days.
I think we were playing Jenga too.
Oh yeah, I do remember.
You remember that?
And I think I was vlogging around that time
Yeah,
too.
yes you were.
Yeah, so I do remember that, and that was, I would say, probably like 6-7 years ago at least.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, so it's been a while. But yeah, I'm glad you're here.
Glad to be here.
So we normally start our podcast with weekly interest. So anything that's happened to you this week, or anything cool that you're into, TV shows, movies, whatever. Just, fun facts. Yeah, do you want to start, Chris Mark, or do you want me to start?
Sure, I'll start. Weekly interests. So, more so, I went to the club for the first time in a long time. It's been a long time since I've been to Lex, and I actually went because of a show for a DJ. My friend invited me, and then I was like, let's go. And it's for the Dioro show, and his set was fucking lit.
That's his name, Dioro.
Yeah, I think that's his stage name, I believe.
Okay.
But I went, and for the first time, it's like being at this age versus when I was going when I was younger. It's crazy. First time I went sober and stayed sober the whole time. I mean, I had a few drinks, but
That's not sober.
I mean, it wasn't sober, but I was more sober than I've ever been. Like, I was pretty chill.
I thought we just said sober. I was like, oh damn, he didn't drink.
No, I drank, but it was like
You were tipsy.
I was not even tipsy, honestly.
Okay.
I was more so just relaxed.
Fine. We'll give you that pass.
So,
Let's just say you're having fun.
yeah, I was having actually, surprisingly, normally I thought I would have more fun if I would be drinking, and be trashed. But no, this is the first time I was like I was more cognitive of my my surroundings and myself, and I enjoyed the whole show. Like, my friend was trying to give me some Molly, and I was like, I've never had Molly before, and so I was like, I don't think I should try this right now. It's like, I don't know what type of effects this will have on me, whether or not, because I've heard the type of effects it does.
I actually never tried Molly before.
I heard it's kind of like shrooms, where it gives you HD hearing and all that. Like, everything just feels a lot more HD, but I also heard of some negative side effects after it's done. Like, you go through a little bit of depression and a little bit of
Yeah,
loneliness.
because there's because you get the chemical boost.
Yeah.
And you feel so good and you just feel amazing. And then after that, there's a come down where it's just like you lost a lot of the good chemicals. So
Yeah.
you're like freaking depressed or
Pretty
whatever.
much I think your receptors, your endorphins and everything, oxytocin and all that just kind of removes itself.
Yeah, because that's, I mean,
immediately.
I've never personally tried it, but I know from a lot of people that I know that have done it, they always say the same thing, that there's always a come down after you take that drug.
And that's what I was afraid of taking that, so I didn't take that one. But overall, the experience at the Dioro show, it was great. I honestly thought I was actually waiting to see anybody get on the dance floor to see if I see any TikTok dancing, but I didn't. I was like, man, these people are gonna be dancing like TikTok characters, and I was like, ah, shit. And I was like, okay, if anybody tries to come at me like that,
What kind of music was it?
It was like it was a Latin vibe EDM type of style. There was like a bunch of English, but also a lot of Latin music going as well.
Okay.
And I actually enjoy a lot of Latin music. So
That
I was
sounds
like,
pretty dope.
reggaeton and all that, and I was like, I was vibing.
Cool.
And that was
Daddy Yankee. And
yes, sir. Is that a thing?
I guess.
Not.
I'm just pulling stuff out of my ass.
No, it's all right. It's all right. But yeah, that's been my weekly interest, if anything, if you will.
That's
Nice.
cool. You want to go, or do you want me to go first?
Okay, well, my weekly interest, I mean, what happened to me today, like I said earlier, was the Facebook group that I created about the Philippines being a U.S. territory. I've received like a lot of great feedback, and I've also received some haters, but you know, that's a good thing. It's only like less than a handful. That means, you know, people are talking about it and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, I'm always interested about God, you know, and yeah, that's my weekly interest.
Hey, that's cool. At least, I mean, I know you started that Facebook page a few days ago, right?
Yeah.
Hey, that's cool that you've started something that you're really passionate about.
I've always wanted to make a difference in the
Yeah.
Philippines because, you know, it was the country that kind of brought me up, and, you know, I wouldn't be here without the Philippines. And, you know, even though sometimes they may seem like they're a little bit misguided as a people, I feel that, you know, it's important to just keep an open mind and just keep on talking about issues and all that kind of stuff in order for the Philippines to keep on progressing for the better.
Hey,
I agree.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's my turn then. Weekly interest. I've actually been watching this show Arcane. It's about League of Legends.
Oh wow.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a really cool show because I've been doing reaction like shows and movie reactions
Oh okay.
for YouTube, and then so I'm watching that right now. Like I'm really enjoying it because I used to play a lot of League of Legends.
I played Dota.
Oh, you did?
Yeah,
It's
defensive
kind of
games.
similar.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was so addicted to it many years ago. Like I don't game anymore, but during that time, dude, I would game probably like 4 or 5 hours a day
Dude,
just
I know
on
what you
League. Yeah.
it goes so quick too with those hours. You think it's like been like 30 minutes, but it's been like
Yeah,
4 hours.
because I remember like I would go to work, go home, play, and then hours later I'm just like, oh, it's time to bed, and then like do it again the next day, and it was just yeah, it was fun. Like I had a lot of good time, but then it's also like it gets a little toxic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, especially like
Like
it gets
the trash talking, or is
yeah,
that
the
what you're
trash
talking
talking
about?
and all the competitive ness of like League. Yeah, because that crowd is just like, I don't know. There's something about that crowd that's kind of toxic.
Yeah.
You get
Yeah.
immersed. And
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
kind of like me when I was playing WoW. I was like, oh man. World of
Like WoW?
Warcraft, yeah.
Nice.
yeah. I used to play WoW too.
Oh really?
Yeah,
I
I
never
used to
got
play
into
JERiCK.
it,
That shit
but
was
I
fun.
have a couple of friends.
It was
Yeah.
funny as hell.
It was just like a lot of like the gaming days, like Call of Duty. I played a lot too. I mean, I feel like gaming's pretty fun.
Yeah, right now I'm playing like Fallout. I'm like really
Oh,
into
okay.
that.
Nice.
Fallout 76.
I watched the show.
Oh, dude, it is like the best.
I love the
I
show.
love the show, too.
I've never played the game, so like I didn't really get a lot of the references, but from the show that I've seen, I mean, the show itself would like stand alone for a good show, I think.
Yeah, I think like they create like a new story compared to like the video game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but the just the essence is still kind of the same.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because I figured that was kind of like the essence of the story, but not the actual like story of the game.
Right, right. Yeah. That's true.
But yeah. Yeah, that's my weekly interest, Arcane. I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it yet.
Is it on Netflix or something?
Netflix, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because I think there's a new season that's coming out. That's why I wanted to like watch it before the new season, just so I'm like, caught up and fresh. Because I always do that every time a new season of a show. Like I always like rewatch old seasons just to like catch up.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
just be like ready for the new season, just so it's like I'm not like, oh, I don't remember that. You know what I mean?
That
Oh,
makes
yeah.
sense. Yeah.
I did that for The Witcher.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, Witcher's amazing. I love.
Never
Henry
played the
Cavill.
game. Never seen the show.
Love the game. Yeah.
Henry Cavill.
Yeah. Superman.
Yeah, the show's pretty good.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll probably watch that too.
Yeah.
I haven't been into like watching much stuff lately except for YouTube shit. So.
My son's totally the same way.
Really?
He just watches like video games like all day, like just playing other people playing video games, and he's not even playing. But sometimes he kind of applies it, and all. It's kind of like the old counterpart of like looking at the cheat codes.
Yeah.
Like back in the day, like when we were growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he kind of just does that on Facebook. Oh, on YouTube. I'm sorry.
I think I could
It's
vibe with the
actually
child.
that's such a popular thing to do now.
Yeah.
Watch people play video games.
That and also like watch people watching things like reaction
Yeah.
style videos, reaction commentary. Because like even in movies too, so people watch movies. It's such an interesting to
Wait a second. Let's rewind real quick. You said people watching movies.
So yeah, so people would watch a movie and like kind of like how I do reaction,
Oh, it's
right?
a reaction style.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
So
fine.
I would watch a movie and then people would watch my reaction to the movie.
I thought you meant like somebody's watching a somebody's watching a movie who's being watched by somebody else, and I was just thinking, it's like, man, if they
I mean, it's pretty much that.
I mean, yeah.
If
but
you really think about it, like you're watching somebody watching a movie.
it would be kind of weird because like if somebody were to watch me watching a movie, they would not get any type of reaction from me. I'd probably be the most boring person to watch.
You would think that.
I'd be like, oh.
Oh yeah, you did that for Demon Slayer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did a Demon Slayer one, and then now I'm doing Arcane, and I did one at Twisters too.
Oh, was it good?
It was pretty good.
I heard really good stuff about
I
it.
enjoyed the original movie in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, that guy
I just remember the flying cow.
Yeah, that was a really good movie, and then this one there's like a similarity to it, but it has like a modern twist. Yeah, I recommend it. Yeah, so like now I'm like really like trying to like do more of that and like build a different YouTube channel, just strictly on like reactions, just
That's
because
cool.
it's like I enjoy making it, but it is a lot of work. Just especially the editing part is just a lot of
Yeah.
the editing is just a lot of work.
I noticed there's like a lot of AI products out there now for like content managers or content creators.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that, because like I mean AI has been kind of on the rise
Yeah.
as of recent, but YouTube is actually, it's not as against it, but it's like if you have AI content, like you have to
Declare it.
declare it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you get flagged and you might get like a strike
true,
on your
yeah.
channel or whatever. Because I think it's mostly for like the face swap thing, because like people don't want to make, or YouTube doesn't want content like fake content basically, because you can just make an AI. Let's say like you have Will Smith on your like, you know what I mean, on your video, but it's not even him. You know what I mean, like stuff like that. I think that's the thing that they're really kind of
Regulating.
focusing. Yeah, because like you obviously want to regulate that, because you don't want
Yeah.
a bunch
People
of
are
like fake
gonna
videos.
abuse it.
Yeah.
People are gonna say like, "Oh, this guy killed another guy," and nobody's ever gonna.
Yeah.
You know. I mean, that's the worst that could happen. I think.
I
yeah.
totally see that happening, especially because now you could like even alter not just the face, you could alter the voice as well to sound like
Oh,
that
yeah.
character as well. So it makes it more, in a sense, it kind of makes it real to other people. And I
And
think,
like sometimes it's hard to tell if it's
Yeah.
real or not. You know.
and it also like I was also thinking is like, there's a lot of stupid people out there. And if you make something like that, or somebody were to create something like that and made a political figure look
Yeah.
in a way, then a lot of people are really gonna believe it. And I'm like, this is gonna be crazy.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing that they're really trying to regulate. It's like
Yeah.
AI versus. It's not that like you can't use AI in your videos, but you just have to
To be careful in a sense.
be careful. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of discussions when it comes to AI and the current state of like technology, especially in like social media and all that stuff too, because it does affect everybody. Um,
100%, especially nowadays. Shit.
yeah, like even on like Instagram and all that stuff, like there's just so many things.
Dude, that's where a lot of people notice get their news from. It's not even like the sources anymore. It comes from like random ass people that are trying to create their own like
Yeah,
random shit. So it's interesting. I could tell you that, at least from what I think.
yeah.
I agree.
Concur.
I agree to what you just said. Everything you just said
it's
is good.
dangerous. It's a dangerous world out there. Yeah.
But yeah, I guess we'll just get on to today's topic, which I didn't really know going into it until this very moment.
Yeah.
Because I know, like when we started talking about, like just like 30 minutes ago when you came in, you didn't really have. I guess we didn't really have a plan on what to talk about.
Yeah, we didn't.
But I know you wanted to discuss about what you're doing, which is I'll give you a time at the end to do that. But then you mentioned something earlier that I was really interested in, if you do want to talk about it.
Okay.
You said you finding your faith. It's because I'm always kind of curious, not necessarily like the religion itself. Well, when people find, I guess, I don't have a better word of saying this, like finding a higher power and kind of changing their life in that way. Am I phrasing it correctly?
Yeah. Sorry. I actually don't know how to respond to that.
Because you said earlier that you found faith,
Yeah.
and it changed you.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I don't know if you remember me like from years ago, like more than a decade ago. I don't know if Chris Mark remembers me as being like, I was an agnostic. I didn't believe.
I really remember that.
I didn't believe in a higher power. I was more like, I don't know that God exists, so I'm just gonna say I don't know.
Yeah.
And my brother,
And that was your point of view.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And my brother was an atheist at that time. And if you guys don't know, my brother jumped off of a building and
sorry to hear that,
and
bro.
he passed away because life was just trying. It was just too much.
I didn't know that. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, there's like a part of me that's kind of guilty that I was the big brother. I was the example, and I was an agnostic, and he became an atheist because of me. So I have like I used to have a lot of guilt and all that because of that. But yeah, and after all of that, I don't know if you guys saw the whole like my Facebook evolution being like a non-believer to like believing in God, like like this is what I saw and all that kind of stuff.
So this is fairly recent. Or how long?
My brother passed away, took his life in 2018, and so
6 years ago.
yeah, and so the evolution of that was kind of, it unfolded within like a span of 6 years.
Okay.
And I went crazy. I was going through psychosis and all that, and I was trying so hard to kind of understand how things work, like like why do these kinds of things happen, and I just got into a conclusion that what you think, what you do, all those actions, you get what you give. And if you think negatively, I know some people might think like, oh, I can't control these kinds of stuff. My blood pressure's high, and something crappy happened to me, so I can't. But you can control it, and once you kind of transform your mind into something positive, you're gonna get positive stuff. That's the you get what you give kind of thing that I was talking about, kind of thing, like that I've noticed was how things work, like the divine machination, I think is
Yeah, because I think everything is perspective, right?
absolutely.
I know when we feel like we hit rock bottom and everything is just shit, and we tend to become the victim, right? We blame it on everything else. But if you really think about it, it's like I know a lot of. I'm not saying I'm not downplaying any bad thing that happens to you, but it's just like it could be a lot worse.
Absolutely, everything can always be worse.
As bad as it is, it could be worse.
That is true.
Very
Like
true.
you could just be one day you just don't wake up and that's it. Game over. You know what I mean? Like you woke up today and that's already a win. And it's like sometimes we take that for granted. And
We take a lot of things.
yeah, we do. And I'm kind of the same way too because I'm always looking to the future, right? Like, I'm always searching for my life to be better, but there's only really now.
Exactly.
Like I'm just living now. Like
That's how you improve your future, by focusing on
yeah,
today,
exactly.
you know?
Because sometimes you get caught up on thinking too much about the future that you're not appreciating everything you have right now.
Plus, you're going to get all of this anxiety and you're going to feel terrible. It's like, why do you want to feel that way?
Exactly.
You know?
Because that's how I feel with like everything I'm doing right now too. It's just like, oh man, I just want to be there. I want to make it and all that stuff. And like sometimes I forget like what I have now is like I prayed for a long time ago.
That is true.
You know, like I wish I was at this very moment years ago. But then I forget because I'm always thinking like, oh, what's the next thing? What's the next thing I can achieve, what I can get? So like
Sometimes it's the desire of,
Yeah.
that kind of separates us from,
and so what is that quote where they said it's like what is that Buddha quote?
Desire is the root of all suffering.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's because we're always wanting what we don't have that we're just kind of it's like that carrot that we can never
Yeah.
get.
But, I would have to kind of disagree with the Buddha a little bit too, because, I have like some Christian background.
Okay.
While desire is the root of suffering, it can also be a source of inspiration to keep on living.
I also
like that.
agree with that
Yeah,
too
so-
because I'm the same way. Like I have a lot of dreams and goals and that's what keeps me going.
And I guess that goes into like the whole duality of things that you guys have been talking about on this show.
Yeah.
And it's everything has like a second meaning, and it's like a good evil.
Yeah, and I don't think it's not black and white. I think everything is just
Gray.
shade of gray. And I think that's very important for people to like know too that it's not as simple as like this or that. Like you can have both. You know what I mean? But yeah, I didn't want to like tangent on like the thing that we were talking about. Like I want you to continue your story.
No, I
Yeah.
I was going according to. I was following you. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, what I mean, yeah.
Because like you were talking about your brother, and then that kind of changed your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately that changed because when my brother passed away, I asked, I was like kind of blaming my family because of, the reason he died. And, they kind of abandoned me except for my aunt. And that whole just being vulnerable, not having anybody's help, that kind of like showed me that there was a higher power. And, it brought me into my knees, and it showed me like, there is something that influences your daily lives if you just pay attention, if you just pay close attention to it.
Do you remember that moment? Was there like a specific moment where you were like, oh, like there's actually something bigger than myself out there?
Try praying. Try doing like like I said earlier, prayer is a personal experience.
Yeah.
And so if you pray to God or to whatever, an entity, the universe, whatever, or meditate on it, you try to observe your daily life after it and see if any of it kind of, comes true or something goes according to plan or something just luckily just goes your way. You find like $100 bill or something, or
Yeah.
and then you develop these questions and relationships with that God and see how that evolves. I mean, that's kind of how I figured it all out.
Yeah, because like I guess I'm curious on, because before that you were like agnostic, you didn't really believe.
Yeah.
You were just like, oh, it doesn't really exist.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. And was it just like the moment where just like you just hit rock bottom and everything just went to shit and you just decided like, I give up, and then you're just like, you know what, like,
Yeah, it requires a sense of surrender.
yeah,
You gotta surrender.
and then you just kind of like, oh shit, like, if there's really something out there, like, can you help me? Was that the moment where you were just like, I'm sure, I mean, you went into a deep depression, whatever you went through.
And I went through psychosis. I was
Yeah.
insane, man. I was institutionalized.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And that's kind of like where I also found hints on how God works. I was like, is somebody watching me? Why are these things playing and it refers to my life? And why are people like this? Just like so much coincidences.
Was it
I don't know.
was it an organized religion, or you just found it on yourself?
In the beginning, it wasn't an organized religion kind of deal. I was more, messing with energies and all that kind of stuff. But eventually, it evolved into being a baptized Christian.
Okay.
So I'm a baptized Christian now. I'm also a baptized Catholic, but I have
I feel like a lot of Filipinos are.
Yes.
yeah. Even my son is a baptized Catholic. I did it for my grandma.
Interesting.
So yeah.
Of course.
Yeah, because I've been a Catholic all my life. And I was just kind of going with the flow when it comes to the traditions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like going to church and, do your prayers. But it wasn't very personal for me.
Yeah.
It was just kind of going with
Routine.
Because growing up, I was taught like, oh, you should do this, you should pray and like go to church. So I did that. Like as a kid, I just kind of followed whatever everybody else was doing, because my family was very religious. So we would go to church, and my grandma was also very religious. So we were doing like daily rosaries, like, and as a kid, I was always trying to get out of it because it was like every 6 p.m. in the Philippines.
Yeah.
My grandma would like do rosaries, and I was just like, I don't want to fucking do that. So I would make an excuse to not be home.
It takes so long.
Yeah.
Dude, trust
Even
me.
though it only takes probably like, in my head, it felt like an hour. It was probably like maybe less than that. But then it was just like, I would try to get away from it. So I would make an excuse not to be home at 6 p.m. Me and my cousins, like, we would just like didn't want to be there.
Dude, I would do the
it-
exact same thing. Bro.
because it was just like, I just didn't want to do it. But like, that's how growing up I was just doing the routine, the Catholic tradition.
What I don't like about the Catholic tradition is the guilt trips.
Yes,
I
and
agree.
I do agree with that.
I always say, if you're gonna do something, do it with your heart.
Yeah,
with all of
because
your-
this is how, at least my current perspective now, when it comes to spirituality and organized religion, all of it. I think spirituality, it should be personal.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It should be, you should, whatever you call it, pray or meditation, like, it should be personal to you. And the problem I have with, I'm not saying it's a bad thing to be in an organized religion, because I don't know a lot about like Christian or like other Christian religion or like Islam or like any other religions. There's so many. From my perspective, in the Catholic religion, it's really a lot of it is based on fear
Absolutely.
and guilt.
I hate that. I don't like that
It
at
is
all.
because it's you should confess your sins. You should do this so you don't go to hell. It's really based on like, oh, if you don't go to church or if you don't pray, you're gonna go to hell. If you don't do what we tell you to do, you're gonna go to hell.
Which is man-made, and it's not God-made, you know.
Yeah.
And it's so biased, and it made me sick.
And for a really long time, that's what I was kind of programmed to believe. And that's why when I found personally, it's not that like really like psychedelics was the thing that really reprogrammed my mind when it comes to spirituality and I guess improving myself, be the best version of myself, is because when I took mushrooms for the first time, it just showed me how the world is just full of like systems that are built that are not necessarily I guess like there was just so many, they put you in a box. And I feel like I didn't want to be in whatever box it is. I mean, there's so many boxes that people put you in, and I just didn't want to be in that. And that's part of it was like religion and like other people's perspective when it comes to like faith and all that stuff. Like I didn't want to be stuck in a box. Like I wanted to figure God, universe, whatever you call it. I feel like people call it different things, but it's all the same shit. And that's what I've learned in like.
I think we just put things in boxes just so we can easily understand.
Yeah, and I do understand that, and I'm not saying people shouldn't do organized religion. Is because, in my perspective, like when you're looking for answers, you just go to whatever you feel comfortable in, right?
Not necessarily. I disagree with that. Not for me, at least.
I guess you'll find it in whatever is in your proximity. And
Yeah, I mean, we talk about what we know, right?
Yeah.
Like I know what you mean then.
because it's like, if that's all I knew growing up as a kid, that Catholic religion was the answer, so I just kind of subscribed to it because that's all I knew. I was never around other Christians, or I was never around like Islam like that, or I was never around
Exposed to other things.
yeah,
to open your
Buddhism
mind.
or like,
Yeah.
you know, like other ways of thinking. I was never around that.
I
So-
think it's important to
Yeah.
expose yourself out there.
And when I feel like when I took psychedelics, it just kind of opened me up to a lot of things.
How do you say that? Like how is it like more visual for you, or do you like see how it all works like in your head, or like what do you mean?
It was, I don't know, it's so hard to explain it. It's because I feel like, I guess, I don't know, this is going to be funny to say it. It's like the glass just shattered. The matrix glass of whatever programming I was in, it just shattered. And everything I knew was, all of a sudden,
Question.
I was questioning everything.
Yeah.
You basically just saw the vision of your own truth.
Yeah.
Oh man,
There you go.
Nice.
Like
That's very good. That was nice.
it was like everything else like that I thought I was before that moment, everything just shattered, and then now it's just like questioning every single thing.
Questions are good, man.
Yeah, and I think everybody should question everything.
I agree.
Curiosity has a purpose, you know.
Exactly.
Why it exists.
So yeah, that's my I guess that's my perspective when it comes to like religion in a way. I'm not saying I'm opposed to it. I'm just saying that like if you do decide to join a religion for whatever reason, like make it a good one. Like make it the right reason, and not just just because your parents are in it or
Yeah.
your everybody's
doing it.
everybody's doing it. They're like, that's not a good reason. Like, if you really feel like this is helping you and changing your life, then do it. Like, because for me, like, I don't care. I don't care what your religion is. Like, I don't care what you believe. As long as you're not, like, hurting other people, like, you should be able to do whatever the fuck you want.
My one requirement for my religion is that they have to remain faithful to the Bible. It's just the Bible is what's important to me.
Yeah.
So,
But yeah, so, like, talk more about, like, so you said you were, you went to psychosis and then,
yeah.
And
And then just things fell apart. I lost everything, and I lost my relationship, and
you already had a kid that time too, right?
yeah. But I managed to like reconcile with my ex, and we're co-parenting now, and I haven't reconciled with my parents, but that's their problem. They have their own mentalities on why they do things, but that's how it goes.
Reconcile in a way because you're in a different religion now, or
No, just they just
life in
don't
general?
they just don't like me. I was the
Black sheep.
I was the black sheep, and I was the son outside of their legitimate marriages, and that kind of stuff. So yeah,
interesting.
yeah. So I've lived like a very. I feel like I've been persecuted like a lot in my life, but that doesn't stop me from doing what I want to do.
That's good.
Yeah.
You just keep going, bro.
Yeah.
Just do what you want to do.
Yeah.
For yourself.
I do what I want.
You gotta do what's good for you, bro.
Yeah. I my primary motivation is my son. Whatever's good for him is good for me.
Do you live with him now?
It's a co-parenting thing. I have him every other weekend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And he's just growing up so fast. And he asks about like physics and all that kind of stuff.
Dang, you got a smart child, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Physics.
But my complaint is he's not very religiously inclined, and I'm like, you got to learn about the word of God too if you seek to understand like
So do
a lot of things.
you not necessarily enforce, but
No, I'm more of a hands-off kind of guy.
when it comes to I'm
Parenting?
saying like when it comes to his belief in religion, like what's your point of view?
I don't control things. I let things go. I'm more of a hands-off kind of guy.
Yeah.
That way the universe creates a perfect result.
But you just wish that he was like a little bit more.
I mean, my thinking is I'm not wishing it. I'm just like saying like, if you want to understand more about everything, this is a requirement.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious too, because my mom does watch this podcast, and we haven't really had like a conversation about how I feel about organized religion.
It's got to be said. Or
yeah,
It's got to be talked about, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, we've kind of like briefly discussed it, but we haven't really dove deep into it because she's very religious. But then, like, I don't think she really minds with whatever whatever I subscribe to. Because I think I'm hoping she can see that I'm living a pretty good life in a way that it's, even though I'm not overly subscribed to like the Catholic faith, like I have my own spiritual practice that I do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I know my mom's watching right now, so she's probably like maybe cringing or a little bit.
I'm sure she still loves you.
I'm sure she does.
Yeah.
Can I just want to go back to you and your hands off with your child on religion. I think that's pretty kind of important that you're doing that, and I appreciate that you're doing it that way, because it's a good way the way I view it. It's like you're showing him a way, but you're not forcing it upon him.
Exactly.
I think
that way he won't get like all traumatized about it.
Because for me growing up, I was also raised Catholic. And just like JERiCK, I would try to get away from like religion as much as possible. We would do Bible studies, and my grandma would enforce all that on me. And then I noticed, one day I was like, I don't want to do Bible study today, so I just want to play video games or something. And so I ended up playing video games, and my brother ended up getting suckered into Bible study while I was over there, and they were asking about me, and I just felt really bad that I didn't go. But I feel like for me for religion, I feel like when you're in like forcing it down somebody's throat, it's a hard pill to swallow, especially growing up as a child, because a child doesn't really, they don't
don't understand that kind of stuff.
They don't see that type of stuff for sure. And for me, like, I definitely did not see that. And I may have been Catholic all my life, and I'm a Christian now, but baptized. But I grew up in that type of environment and going to church every Sunday. And I was like, man, I hate going to church. And the way I found my belief in my religion, the reason why I became a baptized Christian as well, is because like I went through my own things, and I still am going through my own things to this day. And
hope all is well, man.
yeah, well, everything's getting better, but eventually
It's working on it.
it's working. But the thing is, with when I did find what I was looking for, I noticed it's like the reason why I joined the Christianity is because like this was something that like I finally saw that like that really opened up to me versus the Christianity. I feel like religion should be something that that you want to join versus something that you are forced to do. Because if, as I said, if you're forced to do
It's
it,
a
then-
personal relationship.
Yeah. And that's like I said, it's like it should be a choice
yeah.
to join whatever religion you
Exactly.
want to join.
And growing up, going through all my trauma and shit that I went through, I was like, just like you, I prayed for stuff, and I noticed like different things happening to me. And the more I got closer to what I believed, things started rolling out, and like in dominoes,
Isn't it great?
it is great. And it's weird because like I may call it the universe or God or
Fate.
whatever, faith, but like JERiCK said, pretty much all the same shit. And
There is a force out there.
yeah, there is
whatever
a force.
it is.
And I noticed like
Force.
It's the force.
It's like
it's
you-
Chuck Norris.
yeah, but I don't care if you believe in Chuck Norris now, but but it's weird how it works. You're asking for things and you pray for certain things, and next thing you know, I noticed for me is like certain things would happen, and it's weird. Like sometimes I'll ask and I'll be like, I wish blah blah blah, this could happen, this and that, and if it doesn't happen, there's a reason why.
Absolutely. And you just have to like use your mind
Yeah,
or
you
your
just-
feelings. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Use your mind, your feelings. You just have to go with it, because whatever that is that you were wanting or praying for, is probably not something that's going to lead you into a good direction.
Your ultimate goal,
Yeah.
whatever that is.
So I feel like that's protection for your sake. But I notice like when you like some things will happen, and lately for me it's been weird because like I believe in angel numbers,
Yeah, me too.
and I've been seeing a lot of it. And the more I dive deeper into my faith and what I believe in, the more I start to see things manifest themselves for me.
That's the word.
And it's such a weird state, because I'm like thinking to myself like, it's like, what the hell is this really happening type of deal? And it really is.
Yeah.
And
And like at the back of your head too, it's like, nah, man, this isn't
Yeah.
happening. You know?
I was like,
Sometimes you question it, like, did that really happen?
Yeah.
Like, was that the universe or God that helped me out to, But it's like, the more you think about it, is everything always kind of works out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I agree.
It might not be something that is like exactly what you wanted to happen, but it always just works out.
It happens the way it needs to happen.
It works
Exactly.
Yeah.
for you, not how you see it, but it works for how the universe or God wants it for you.
Yeah.
In a sense.
God doesn't make mistakes, guys.
No, we
Exactly,
all have a purpose, and I believe in that.
Yeah. Nice. That was really good.
Yeah. So it's like, is there like a daily practice for you that you do every day?
I just talk to God like any other normal human being.
Yeah.
But he's not there. You can't see him. I just like randomly say things and just talk to him, and then
I like that.
that's all. And that's my prayer. Sometimes I just like sit in like my room like the whole day or like few weeks, 3 days not taking a shower. Don't tell anybody I told you guys. but yeah, sometimes I just like meditate and just like focus on praying because that's how I feel and that's what I do.
Do you have like a daily routine that you do?
No, I just talk. I just think and talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all.
That's how I do it. I talk to God like
He's
how
powerful
yeah.
enough.
I talk to God like how I would talk to you guys.
Yeah.
Because for me it's like I've been trained that you have to do the cross and this and that and say a bunch of random stuff that I wasn't very so sure about. But
It's like you're remembering his death,
but
when you're doing that.
I feel like if you just reach out to him, he'll be okay with that rather than you not reaching out at all.
Yeah.
In a sense.
Exactly. Sometimes I feel like a spoiled brat, like talking to him. Like, I'm just like, can't believe you're not doing this for me. But, but whatever.
Yeah, because it does feel like that sometimes when you really want something so bad
Yeah.
that you're like, oh, I just want it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just want it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like you said, like it will
What's your
happen.
reasons?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when I look back at things, then I understand like, oh, that's why.
Yeah.
That's why it didn't work out the way I wanted it to work out, because some things had to happen the way it had to happen.
Right.
Yeah, it's always interesting that way because I mean, like, especially now too, like there's, I don't know if faith itself or spirituality is as maybe religion itself, maybe it's not as common these days. It's not mainstream. Do you agree with that?
Not necessarily. I mean, you see these politicians always talking about how they, believe in a higher power and believe in God and all that. That's kind of always their selling points. That tells me that it's actually popular, that religion is actually the mainstream, but it's just not mentioned in popular media.
But
That
do you
much.
think like the younger generation, because you said
Probably not.
yeah, because like you said, like
Yeah.
when you were younger, you were agnostic,
Yeah,
and then your brother was atheist. It's like for the younger generation, I feel like it's not as popular for them.
Right. Yeah, because they use other kinds of medias compared to older,
Yeah.
I feel like
older people.
the younger generation, they don't worship anything but the things that they want. In a sense, they worship
That's all they
like
know.
partying and girls and guys, and they just that's going out to get shit face. That's pretty much their worship in a sense. They don't look into the repercussions of what they're doing. They don't see religion in their life.
It's probably because they aren't really that capable of thinking that way unless they're taught,
Yeah, I think that's what I'm thinking too, is because they're not developed enough to, or I don't know if it's maturity, but it's just like mentally you're not really thinking about that, because
agree.
when you're young, I
you
think
just want to have fun because
Yeah.
you've been so repressed most of your life.
I think it's like part of it too. It's like you think you can do everything,
Yeah.
and then you just kind of do whatever the fuck you want, and like don't even think about consequences.
That sounds like my old self. Yeah.
I mean, think about it. It's just like how we were when we were younger. We didn't
Yeah.
want to get into religion.
That's
at all.
true.
We just wanted to fuck around and have.
Yeah,
play
because
games or
honestly, it was
something,
just like
you know?
I just did it because my family told me to do it.
was to
So
appease other people, not
Yeah,
to appease God himself.
personally, I was just like, it's not that I really wanted to do it. I was just everybody else in my family did it, so I'm gonna do it too, because that's like, I guess you can call it programming. I was just programmed to just like follow the route that everybody else was taking too. So I think for younger generation, I don't think they're necessarily thinking about, because you're not really thinking about how your life like that anyways. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when you're young, you just want to have fun. You just want to do whatever the fuck you want.
You have a different idea about on how life is supposed
Exactly.
to be. Yeah.
And then the older you get, and then you realize like, oh, like there's more to life than just whatever this
Going
is.
out,
Yeah.
drinking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is weird because I mean, because all three of us here, we have a belief in something, you know. And it took us all a long time to figure out down the road that we believe in something. It's like we had to go through our own shit in order for us to have a belief in a higher power of some sort.
Yeah. Because even when you think about it too, like just age wise, in your 20s, you're just trying shit out. You're
Yeah.
just, you're just trying a bunch of stuff.
You just got out of your house.
Exactly. You
know?
just got out of your house, so you're like, I'm free. I can do whatever the hell I want.
And then a decade later, it's like,
Yeah.
am I really?
And I
doing
think
it right?
like at 30, that's when you start figuring out like, all right, I had my fun, I had my shenanigans. Like, all right, what do I want my life
yeah.
to be?
Who
And
am I?
Exactly.
Really? Yeah.
And I see that too because like once you get to like 30, you become a little bit. I mean, not everybody. Like as much as I want to say everybody, like not everybody.
Most,
yeah.
A lot of people like, oh, now I need to get my shit together and like figure out whatever life I want to live. And like, I feel like the 30 is like the new kind of like your 20s, you're still a kid.
Yeah.
As much as like, yeah, you're technically an adult because you're over 18, but you're just a dumb kid. And I was a dumb kid during like in my 20s too. So like I
was probably dumber than you, man.
so like once you turn 30, it's more of like, all right, now I need to figure out myself. I need to figure out what I want, and yeah, I'm just gonna live my life. Like, and then like that's when people find like their passion. They find spirituality, and then they just kind of like figuring out what life really is about. You know what I mean? But let me ask you this: like, what do you think the game of life is,
The game of life, is it even a game?
or just life in general? Like, what do you think
You know,
is the meaning? I mean, this is probably like
I think
a
the meaning
super deep.
I think the meaning is love, and I think probably like you, at some point you were a spirit, and you said like, okay, I'm gonna go into this life to be deprived of love, so that I can give myself love, so that I may give others the love that I gave myself. It's like
Yeah.
all connections. But yeah, I think it's about like learning how to love yourself and others. Especially within the Christian ideology, because we Christians focus on love as a tool of bringing people together.
Yeah, and interesting that happened to me too is for me when I figure out that it's important to like put all that love into yourself instead of
yeah.
finding it from outside of you. That's when my like life really changed for the better.
Yeah, me too.
It's because I was always seeking the validation from other people.
Yeah, and you were just like in that negative headspace, like I can't believe they're not validating
Yeah.
me or whatever.
And
or
like
something
it's like growing up too. It's like you're always like seeking validations from your family, from your parents,
It's exhausting.
and it's like you. I think you personalize that, and then you think like, oh, if they don't love me, what's wrong with me? You know
Yeah,
what I mean,
yeah.
because like
And that's like so wrong to think about, because you are valuable. You
Yeah.
are, a good person.
yeah, because
Everybody.
I realized that this was just, I would say probably like 3-4 years ago.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, so like this is fairly recent.
It was more 2017 for me or something.
Yeah, so like I was trying to date this girl, right? So it was just like a complicated thing that I got myself into. And there was just like I really wanted us to be together. But then for some reason, it was just like not working out. She was just like, no, I don't want to be in a relationship and blah, blah, blah.
You got to make him want it. They can't
Yeah.
force it.
And then it was just like, in my mind, I really took it personal. I was like, what's wrong with me? Like, am I not good enough?
That's your insecure self.
Yeah. And I totally agree.
That's
I
a
was,
dangerous place to be in.
I was very insecure during that time, is because like I was trying to find love outside of myself, because I was like, oh, just love me. You know, maybe it was a trauma from my childhood. Like I never got a lot of like validation from, you know, my parents, or it was just kind of, I had to figure, it's not that my family like never really loved me. It was more like it wasn't shown in like openly, I guess. You know, I don't know if your family was the same, but
No, my family never said I love you to each other.
yeah, exactly. Like I didn't really have that growing up, so it was kind of, maybe in my mind I was just like, it's like it doesn't matter, I don't really need it.
But
then it was like it was a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
It was just, in my mind I was just like, I don't need it, I'm good.
I'm so glad you realized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't realize that during that time, but
But eventually,
like
yeah.
looking back at it now, it was more of like the childhood trauma. Like, you know, as a child, you get a lot of trauma that you don't
Yeah.
think about.
I know, and
Yeah.
you just like tend to brush it off because
Yeah.
you think that that's the normal thing to
Exactly.
live. And you tend to be abused that way, and that just pisses me off sometimes.
Yeah. So like, yeah, continuing my story, when I was trying to date that girl, and then I just, for like for like a couple years, I was just really trying so hard like to make shit happen, and it just didn't. And just one day, it just snapped for me. I was just like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like I'm exhausted. I can't do this anymore.
If it doesn't work, if you can't force it, don't do it. It's a
Yeah.
waste of your energy.
And like it just took me so long to realize that, and I was like, you know what? In a way, it was like, I mean, I was never mean to, you know, I was never like fuck you or like whatever. It was like mentally in myself like fuck you. I'm gonna put all that shit to myself.
Yeah.
And then after that, I was just putting all that love to myself, and I just became a lot more selfish in a way that, not that I don't care about other people. It was more like, you know what, I'm gonna take care of myself, and then whatever's left, everybody can have it. You know what I mean? Because like you can't give from an empty cup.
Absolutely.
If you don't,
You gotta fill it first.
yeah, if you don't have your shit together, or if you don't have your cup filled for whatever, you know, there's other ways to fill your cup. But if you don't have that, like it's hard to just give, because you're giving from an empty cup. Then what the fuck are you giving?
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yourself.
It's just like
you're
a
gonna kill yourself.
leftover. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you know what was the beautiful part for me about loving myself is, after I decided that I would give myself all of these love and that I would think differently about how to love myself, like all of these, like, you know, like beautiful women are like saying, you know, just like doing like little things that I appreciate, like saying hi or congratulations, just like whenever you pass them by, they smile or whatever. It's just like I don't know. It's not really what I'm looking for in a relationship, but it just kind of feeds my ego a little bit.
Yeah.
That this is,
and obviously,
you
like,
know,
it's nice to get
it's
that
an energy.
validation.
Yeah, it's an energy thing that, you know.
Yeah, it's because like when you put all that love to yourself too, you walk differently.
Yeah.
Your energy's different, and everybody, they might not think about it in that way, but like intuitively,
Exactly.
like they're picking up with your like, oh, like when you see somebody that's like having a good day, like you're just so drawn to them.
Exactly.
Like you know, they're smiling and they're saying hi to people. I'm just like, oh, like I'm glad I had that 30-second interaction with that person.
And with those kinds of moments comes opportunities, and then,
Yeah.
you know, things are gonna get better for you down the line if that happens.
Yeah, and that's why like I always pay attention to like people's energy, because it's because I can tell who's like really, I guess,
Authentic.
authentic and also like
Genuine.
and who's been working like on themselves,
Yeah.
like to like improve themselves, and then I can easily tell who's not in a judgmental way. I'm like, I get it, I was there, you know what I mean? So like I empathize when people are like in a victim mentality, but then I don't also tolerate it.
Yeah, I see
In
what
a
you
way.
mean.
Like
Yeah.
I'm a very selfish person in that way. I'm just like, I don't want to hear your bullshit right now.
For me, sorry, go ahead.
Just because I'm just trying to protect my energy.
Yeah. For me, I know how to delve into that energy without it affecting me. But,
Yeah.
Sometimes you just got to smile. But, hopeless causes are hopeless causes.
Exactly.
And if it's a hopeless cause, I'm going to remove myself right away.
Yeah.
So,
It's kind of like when somebody's talking to you about their problems, and every time they come back to you, it's always the exact same.
If it's the
fucking
same
problem.
bullshit every time, if it's like for the third time you're talking about the same shit,
It's like, dude, fucking, what the fuck are you doing?
It's like,
take care of yourself.
what
Fix the
has really
situation.
changed during that time?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like people can't vent around me, but then I'm also just keep in mind that I'm not the type of friend that's gonna be like, oh, it's okay, like you can do,
You're not gonna sugarcoat it.
yeah, I'm gonna be very direct. I'll be like, get your shit together, or like, like I'm gonna give you
A chance to fix it.
I guess personally, I'm thinking it's a good advice. But then, like I've said before in this podcast many times, my advice is just my advice. Either you take it or you don't. I don't really care. Because at the end of the day, if you really want to change, you have to change for yourself. Like there's nothing I can say that will change you. It might trigger it,
Yeah.
like just like everything else in life. Like you live your life, right? And then you'll see something, you see a sign from a universe or God, or like you hear something in your head, a message. Like those signs, pay attention to those, is because those are like, I guess, kind of like redirecting you to the path that you should be on.
right.
And just like I said, like my advice could be that sign. Or what I say in this podcast, what I say in my videos, or whatever conversations you have with other people, like that could also be a sign. And like I always pay attention to that. It's because when I'm having these conversations right now, sometimes I get something that was just like, oh, like that just clicked in my head. And then like I might not like respond to it at the moment, but I always like think about it. I'm like, oh, like that kind of solved whatever problem I have going on. You know what I mean? Yeah, so I always just think about that.
Definitely.
But yeah,
Gotta use the bathroom.
all right, well, let's just end this soon then. Yeah. But yeah, that was pretty good discussion, bro.
Thank you. I love discussing these kinds of things.
Yeah, thanks for coming to the podcast,
Thank
man.
you for having me, and thank you for having this handsome guy with me as well.
What are you talking about? You're the handsome one, bro.
No, dude. Okay, we'll both be handsome.
There you go.
We're
all handsome.
Yeah, no, I
all
don't.
handsome.
It's an inclusive environment.
Yeah, exactly. We can all be good looking.
Yeah.
It's all
Self-love.
about self-love here. But before we end it, like I want to give you a platform to
Sweet.
I guess share whatever you got going on, because I know you're very passionate about it.
Okay, well, thank you, JERiCK. Well, just
Because you need to go to the bathroom, so we have to end this.
absolutely, absolutely. But I've been doing this Facebook group about having the Philippines become an American territory. I've been having a lot of great feedback from a lot of people. I'm here to start conversations about it, and just to get people start talking about potential possibilities on solutions, and whether or not we or the Filipino nation as itself wants to be a U.S. territory and improve, its infrastructure, its public health, its public transportation, its education. You're going to have access to, American scientific journals. You're going to have access to American healthcare. You're going to have all you got to do is just submit a referendum and to the U.S. Congress, and they're going to like decide on what the framework of the state, or the Philippines or the territory will be, and that would help improve things over there. I got like a negative feedback saying like Manuel Quezon once said that he doesn't want the Philippines to go under American rule because that way we could always change the future of the Philippines. Well, I think Manuel Quezon was wrong because he apparently doesn't know that states can secede from the union, and also if the Philippines gathers like a lot of debt, then you're not gonna have that much leeway of changing and any sorts of adjustments if you're gonna just bury the Philippines in debt. So I think the time is now. We have we have like the current Marcos president has great U.S. ties, and I think he can use that for the benefit of the Philippines. And I think it's time to start discussing these questions for the future of the country.
I had a question actually. So, when you say you want the Philippines to become a U.S. territory, are you talking about kind of like Hawaii, where Hawaii is a U.S. territory?
I'm talking about Puerto Rico, Guam, and I guess Hawaii as well.
So therefore,
American
declaring
Samoa.
by doing that would just cause us immediately to become American citizens.
Not necessarily.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of catches, but they could travel to America and all that kind of stuff. It's not going to be as improved as America because it's kind of natural that these territories are a little bit poorer than the 50 states. But another great point that I want to point out, like with regard to the Philippines becoming a U.S. territory, is that its strategic position is going to help the U.S. fulfill its commitments or diplomatic commitments within that region of the world, and that's going to help a lot. I think
that would be kind of cool.
And we're going to have like cheap labor, like the U.S. can have cheap labor while tightening its like border security.
Yeah.
Because people, we're already outsourcing work over there in the Philippines at a cheaper rate, and I think if we continue these kinds of things and if we just discuss potential solutions, then we're going to be able to improve everybody's lives, Americans and Filipinos alike.
I feel like since we've already had this relationship with since the Philippines already had a relationship with the United States for such a long time,
Absolutely.
I think it might be time. I mean,
I mean, the U.S. tried it during the 70s, but we kicked them out because we were expecting to be free in 1898. Yeah. And the Japanese came after that, and we were butt fucked by the Japanese. And they were terrible. They threw babies up in the air and caught them with bayonets.
Bro.
And like and then Americans came and they say like you'll be with us, and we're like, no, we're sick of everybody's shit. So we're like, yeah. So we just kicked them out. But I think it's time to talk about these again and be like, hey, we can have a good government.
So in a sense, it'll probably be a positive thing too for the Philippines for sure.
I think so. And I received some feedback that probably the government, the politicians, and the rich corrupt won't like it. But
of course not.
But I'm not trying to please them.
No,
I'm trying to please the country itself. So
what's the Facebook group?
It's called Admit the Philippines into the American Union page. So, I mean, I invited you guys to like it. I can do that again, but I keep posting on there, and I'm technically trying to be a content creator.
Okay.
Within that area.
Nice.
So yeah.
Well, good luck, man.
Thanks.
Yeah. So if you're watching right now too, please go to the Facebook group if you're really interested in this conversation.
You're gonna tag him on the thing.
Yeah, I put it in the description.
Okay.
If you can send me the link or whatever.
Absolutely.
So yeah. Thanks for coming, dude.
Thanks for having me, guys. Sorry, my voice. I've been talking for an hour.
But yeah, I know you were really nervous, but you made it.
Thank you.
Was it that bad?
It wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jerry. Thanks for having me. It's great.
You did good, bro.
Thank you.
Okay, well, I guess that's it for this week's episode. We'll see you guys next week.
Peace, love, and freedom.
Peace.
Peace.
Saranghe.
Love.